Peace and black power. I want to say a lafia to those who are in the EFI tradition. Uh, Man, I've been thinking like, what is it I can do? And what are the things I decided to do? I think I'm gonna start a little talk called Thoughts of an African. Through the various struggles I've been through, the different things I've been through. I've been in street tribes. I've been a part of different organizations. I helped found different organizations. But at the end of the day, I decided, I need to do something that's therapeutic for me, which is Thoughts of an African. So what were my thoughts? I guess like a vlog or something. You know what I mean? Putting my thoughts out there for those who are interested in it. Dealing with different issues that tend to cross my mind. And a lot of times, you know, I talk to people about the thoughts, but I keep a lot of them to myself. And I believe that they'd be very therapeutic for me, but they can also be very therapeutic for others. Like one of the recent things that I've been pondering on and thinking on was, the fact of, the rules are circumstantial, and how significant that has, how significant that one statement is. Rules are circumstantial. Just take some time to think on it. Because I know even in my life at 41, the rules that I have for my life weren't the same as the rules that I had for my life at 16. The rules I had for my life at 20, 25, 30, 35. Hell, even a couple of years ago. And that's important to understand, what I mean? That rules are circumstantial. Sometimes we take a stand on things that we think are just super important to us, and in reality, they really aren't that important. You know what I mean? They're really minute things that we make life decisions based on. These things that we have accredited to ourselves or applied in our own lives by calling them rules, and they're really trivial. You know, At the end of the day, you can have and when I say rules, I don't mean a rule of the system or a rule that the structure is given. I'm talking about a rule that we set for ourselves. We all have rules for ourselves. At one time, I had a rule that, dudes that was from an opposite street tribe, they were my enemies. That was a rule I lived by. And it was on sight. When I saw one, we went at it. That was a rule that I had applied to my life from the time I entered upon that particular journey in my life. But like I said, they're circumstantial. I deal with those rules even while I was in the county jail. I've been to jail, I've been to prison. Even in the county jail, I was still acting on that rule on sight. When I saw what I called the enemy at the time, we were boop, 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 it was going down. It wasn't no in between. And guess what that caused me to do? It caused me to spend a lot of time in lockup, caused me a lot of heartache and pain, never got a visit from my mother, couldn't get visits, because those were things that I had applied and made a rule for myself that I had to stand on. Because I made a rule to myself and then I spoke that rule verbally to others. So I had to live by it. Me being a person that I always try to represent what I say. And, that was a rule for me as well. And so I did 13 months in the county jail living by that rule. And then guess what? It changed. I went to prison. From the county jail, I went to prison, ran across the dudes that once were my enemies, and now I couldn't live by that anymore. And it wasn't even feasible for me to try to live like that. My mission and journey, I went to prison in the early 90s when gang banging was at its peak. I entered prison in 1995. I remember being on the unit, man, no lie, probably approximately maybe 300-400 Crips and 5 Bloods. And really wasn't even 5 Bloods, 3 Bloods and 2 Vice Lords. So now, was I honestly being realistic with myself? Now, was it going to be on site? It was no way around it. They wasn't separating us from being around each other. So that rule that I once had to myself, I had to make adjustments to that rule. And the adjustment was, okay, now it is, as long as none of them step to me directly and disrespect me, then I don't have a problem with the enemy, what I call my enemy. So I began to, exercise upon that rule. and it worked. But eventually I grew out of that rule. As my understanding grew, as my knowledge grew, I realized that, hey man, some of these guys are some really good guys. Some of my best friends, that I, did time with, some of the most solid guys I met was from what I called a rival faction. A tribe that I would have tried to kill at one time. I ended up having bonds with some of those guys to this day. One of those guys I ended up building a national organization with. And to this day, we're still friends. And most of the people that were in that organization that I encountered were from that opposite tribe. And that was just an example of how rules were circumstantial. Because I said what I wouldn't do and what I never would do. And there have been so many in my life, you know what I mean, where I realized that that's the power of the statement. So don't get so caught up in the things that you feel are rules for your life at this moment, where you miss out on growth, or you miss out on the opportunity to better yourself and advance yourself. And be mindful of the things that you speak. In Ifa, they say that your ashe is in the mouth. The things that we speak, they can either cause life or cause death. So at this moment in my life, I've realized that rules are circumstantial. I learned to respect the boundaries of others. I learned to respect my own mind, because in dealing with this tradition, your mind is a deity as well, honoring and respecting what they would call in Ifa your Ori. And this is what allowed me to recognize through my spiritual transformation also that rules are circumstantial. So don't be too hard on yourself when you violate a rule that you applied on yourself. Look at the circumstances. Look at the situation you're in and see, hey, is this really a rule that has to be set in stone for my life? Or is it one of those things that is circumstantial? I'm not going to hold you too long. I'm just trying this out. And if anybody does watch it, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. Peace and Black Power.